right, we are back,
We are.
and it is a big week.
It is,
We're
it is.
nearing to the playoffs. What is this, week 11? So we have week 11, 12, 13, 14. So 4 more weeks. No.
Three more
Three
weeks.
more weeks of play.
And
then
week
we get to the
14 is playoffs, right?
And week 14 is the playoffs. And we're back 2 weeks in a row. Back on the pod
Starting a
train.
trend.
Finally. And we'll just we'll hop in, let Austin take it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and get into the power rankings. There probably won't be too many surprises this week, especially not in the back end of the power rankings. But we should call out a big old round of applause here. Pickle finally getting his first win. Yeah, you're still in last place, but at least you're got a win, and now you actually have a shot to not run a marathon.
Yeah.
Big win, too. Because one thing I'll try and break down later, Paul's got some... Paul controls his own destiny for last place. He does. Big week.
We'll take a look at it. Next up, Josh. Josh is on a bit of a skid here, 3-game losing streak, so he's right there in it with Paul for the race. He's got quite a bit more points for, so he's still above him, even though he's a game above and on a bigger losing streak. But it's right there between them, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if it's ever points against, I have him beat.
Yeah, no. It's been a downturn for Asia for the last... Is it 3 years now? Or is it 2?
Joe Marshall.
3, I think. It's been a bit.
No.
Yeah. Hopefully you can bring it back next year. Maybe in a new division.
Yeah, maybe. And speaking of new divisions, Danny Boy comes up as our 8th place team. Dan is also on a huge skid. He's lost 4 straight, so he broke his lose 3, win 3, lose 3 streak. He's just a total loser now. He's also fighting for the race. He's got 2 games up on Pickle, so it seems unlikely for him to fall into it, but he also is like in the exact same category in terms of point 4, so definitely a chance for him as well.
Yeah, I saw Dan in the chat say something about the playoffs. And I just kept thinking about the playoffs? The playoffs? We're trying to win a game. I just don't know where he gets off talking playoffs. It says 1%. It's not 1%. It's 0.
Well, I mean, he's 3-7. There's 3 games left. And 6 and 7 teams get in all the time. So
what would have to happen is the 2 6-win teams would have to lose all their games. The 5-win teams can't win 2, which I don't even know if that's possible, by the way. I think they play each other. And then he would have to make up like a 300-plus points 4 gap.
yeah.
So they'd all have to score 0. So, I mean, yeah, there's a chance.
I mean, Monty's just going to score like 100 for him this week, and then next week he'll have another player. Possible.
The playoffs?
All right. Next up is where things start to get a little bit more interesting, and where I'll probably start to make some enemies within the pod. This is all so close. Really 3 through 7. Like you could put it in any order here. And so I've got Mark here with his new name of 2026. Again, I think this is more of a reflection in terms of where he's at currently, as opposed to actual like talent on his roster. I think he's one of the more talented rosters out there, but he's just put himself in a little bit of a pickle, for lack of a better term. He 5-5. So even if he wins 2 out of the next 3, he's only still at 7 and 6, and his points for kind of suck. He doesn't have the advantage there. So like to me, for Mark to make the playoffs, and I've got these magic numbers in here for the rest of the way out, I think he really needs to win out in order for him to make it.
I mean, if you lose to the Pickle this year, you deserve to be way down. So,
Yep.
and he's had that honor this year. So,
Yeah, he kind of needed that win. I mean, he can still win out 8-5. He's probably getting in, but I don't think he gets in at 7 and 6.
Yeah, agreed. Moving forward, next team there is Johnny, still riding the Trump train. Johnny is 6-4, so he's got that record advantage there. But where he does not have the advantage in my eyes is points for. He's one of the fewest teams there, and just roster as well. Just doesn't have depth, and it seems to be hurting him every week where someone is out, and it hurts him pretty significantly. He had a huge win this past week to keep him alive, but again, I think he has to also win 2 out of 3 to have a chance there too.
Yeah. And this week he plays the Pickle, and Pickle likes breaking hearts.
Yeah, Pickle might just go on a playoff tear, just ruining people's chances for the playoffs.
That's my playoffs.
It's actually great. But I mean, he's 6-4. Has a chance, but I kind of think he threw away his chance when he kind of gave Neighbors away for pennies. I feel like he needed Neighbors upside.
Yeah.
He just gave him away mid-game.
Was it for Ramondre? Is that right?
Ramondre, yeah.
Yeah, and you have a huge hole now at wide receiver. He's starting Devontae Smith in the flex, and forget who his other receiver is. It's not great. Good running backs, though.
Talk about a tilt trade. I mean, man traded away him at like the third quarter. And then Neighbors still got 11 points, but then he was shopping Bijan in the first quarter, and then Bijan goes for like 30.
Yeah.
Oh, he's starting Devontae Smith. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Slow the emotion down, Johnny. Slow it down. I think we had a pod where you talked about how emotions and fantasy just like 99% of the time do not go together.
Yep.
It just doesn't work.
Cool. Next up is Vinny. A little bit of a come to reality there after his crazy win streak. Vinny now sits at 5-5. I have Vinny's magic number at 2, so that only puts him at 7-6. This is a little bit where you get into that more of a gray area. Normally 7-6 teams, like some of them will make the playoffs, and Vinny has the points to get there. This does seem like a weird year where it seems like it's possible that you need 8 wins to get in. But if there is a team that can do it with 7 wins, it's probably Vinny is one of them. So his magic number would only be 2 out of the next 3.
My only gripe with this again is you're putting him ahead of a person behind him who has a better record and on a win streak. So,
but I will say that I think
1-game win streak.
But I will say
better than a 1-loss streak.
I'm very big on points for, and it's like Vinny is shockingly high on points for.
Yes,
like,
but
no one will get
if
him.
last week we heard the system takes into account win streaks, that's just not true. This system here did take into Johnny again. So I think the system is just very biased against Johnny.
It's one factor, but there's also the points for as well, and the actual talent of the team, which I would put both of those in.
And I will say, we're 3 weeks left.
At a certain
win
point,
advantage is very big.
Yes.
But I mean, I don't think anybody can gap him in points for beneath him. I don't think it could. It would have to be unreal.
I mean, you are putting a person who's tied for the lead in my division all the way down at number 6. So the system is a little funky. I just want to bring up that note. Zero respect for the West again, and I have learned to accept that. So I have no need to voice my opinion because I voiced it this week and now last week, and it doesn't change. So shit on the West. Zero respect for a division fucking leader, but it's okay. Continue.
Well, I have one thing. Was this the same photo you had from the whole time?
No. Vinny, he's had 2 different doormat images. One was a little bit more, the first week of the doormat was a little bit more dormant. He was getting stepped on, and then after his win streak, he started to fight back.
Well, I don't know, because like I always thought this was like a doormat just like eating people that comes through it, but looking at it, he looks a little scared. He sees his other foot coming in, He looks a little scared. I think this is the perfect state of Vinny's team where it feels good, but he's scared. He's definitely in a worried state right now, like he's going to get stepped on.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Next up, though, we have Luke's team, 2025. See, Paul, it's not all about East versus West. It's all these factors coming into play.
This formula is fucking wild. The fact
Luke is also 5-5. Those points for are crazy. He's got a 2-game win streak. He's coming from all the way back. Lukey is really that team that controls his own destiny. Like his points for are pretty much like right up there with like almost me and Steve. So like for him, he's definitely one of those teams that just needs to get to 7 wins, and he should automatically be in the playoffs as well.
Well, do Paco and Johnny play each other? Do we know this? We could check it later.
Yeah, I'm not sure right now. I have all the schedules on a slide, but
we'll get to it later. But he might not get in at 7-6 if Paco and Johnny don't play each other, and they can somehow get to 8 wins because they can take a loss and still get to 8 wins. But yeah, I think Luke does definitely control his destiny.
It's at least never happened before. So we've never had a year where every team that has made the playoffs had eight wins or more. Every year, it's generally 7 and 6 teams as well.
Johnny, the remaining schedule is Luke with me, Luke, Mark, and then...
Oh, he doesn't play Paco. So there is a scenario where Luke can get 7 wins.
Yeah.
But also Luke would have to lose to Johnny. So that would be the big game. So, again, controlling his own destiny.
Number 3 here, Sutton wide receiver University, and so this is the leader of the West Division at 6-4. He did go up despite losing, mostly just because most of the people around him that were up there did have losses, and he is number 1 in the division. He's got the points for to stay up there, so like he's not as high as Vinny or Luke if he does lose and starts competing for the wild card, but if it's between him and Johnny for the division lead, then he has that. Division leader number for him is 1.5. I think he should get in with 7 wins, but I just put that 0.5 there just because he might need a little bit of help from losing from other people or not surpassing him in points for.
So, actually, yeah, Vinny is in kind of a tough spot because Luke, points for, same or a little better. No, he's got better than him.
Better, yeah.
Paco's right there, and then you got me and you. So he actually just needs to get wins. He's in a tough spot because I didn't even think about that. He's got 4 people that have points for right at him or better. Wow, it's a tight race for these people getting into the playoffs.
Yeah, Vinny's worst scenario is probably going to be if Paul wins the division and Luke is that second-tier team, because Vinny has everyone else beat, and he's at least competitive with Paul for points for, but Luke has a pretty solid advantage over Vinny, so if it comes down to Paul gets in because he wins the division, and then Luke is that wild card that Vinny's competing for, I think that's what's going to screw him.
He has a fairly easy rest of the schedule. He plays you this week, then he plays Josh, and then he plays me. So, I mean, you'll beat him. He should beat Josh. I hope he beats Josh, and then he'll hopefully lose to me. But those aren't guaranteed. Yeah, this is Vinny's remaining schedule, so it's not guaranteed. I don't know.
So this is like a huge week.
The more we talk about this,
everything for Vinny right now.
The more we talk about this, the more I'm seeing just how horrible the system is for power rankings. The fact that we put someone who had I would say less than 25% chance ahead of a division leader, but I digress.
I mean, you can't put him 2 or 1. Is that what you're saying?
No, the fact that Vinny is ahead of Johnny, a division leader right now, tied, granted.
Yeah, doesn't Vinny have over 100 points for more than Johnny on the season? Like, it's not even close.
Johnny has one important thing better than Vinny. A fucking win.
That all changes.
That's huge. No, it doesn't. He has one more win than Vinny. It's not like Johnny had the bye week. No, this is everybody plays every week. He is ahead objectively than Vinny. But
all right. Number 2, we've got J10 Daniels. It's bowling season. We're in the postseason. I'm ready for the Super Bowl of fantasy. 6-game win streak. Luke passed me this week. 3rd in points for. So like again, I just think all the factors point to pretty consensus number 2 in the league right now.
I was gonna ask, what does bowling have to do with anything, but okay.
Did you get it now?
No, not really, but it's okay. I don't get the system either.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much here.
I can't argue. Number 2.
And then same with number 1.
Whoa, new graphic.
Yeah, I had no idea what to do. This is just literally I told it to make an image of systemic failure, and there it is.
Yeah, I did this because I wanted to show Austin's playoffs right here. This right here is Austin's playoffs. This is systematic failure. It's going to all come. The system got him to the playoffs, and it's just going to crumble. And this is what it looks like. I was going to let Austin create his own playoff future right here.
That's brilliant. My
No,
man made his own gravestone.
I mean, to be fair, there's a little bit of foreshadowing. Like, you and I had that bet in the beginning of the year about Pittman versus Ayuk and who would have more points, and they both died this season. But I think Pittman has slightly more points in his death than Ayuk. And so I feel like this systemic failure is not only maybe my new team name that you give me, but also my new team image.
Your new team image?
Yeah.
Wait, I didn't understand.
The betting stakes for the stakes for that bet was naming rights.
Oh, okay. I see. Yes, you just created your own image.
All right. But those are the power rankings. I was lazy. I didn't get a coach's poll out this week, so we can't see how it compares with the people. Based off of this podcast, it seems like there's one person either in agreement or pretty neutral, and one person that's vehemently opposed. I won't name names.
To be honest, I wouldn't have done a coach's poll this week either after seeing the poll that all the coaches did compared to your poll last week, but just saying.
The one that was a joke last week?
It wasn't a joke last week. The right teams were on the top.
It was a Trump train for sure.
Yeah. But the other side that I put together this week was just looking at the remaining schedules for the playoff teams, so that we can just kind of take a look at this and how they compare there as well.
Okay, yeah. So this is cool. So we have Doormat, which we just looked at, playing you, and then so if Vinny can get a win this week, he's on a good track to get 8 wins, but you've got two teams, because it's sneaky. It's like he plays Josh and Pickle, but these two teams are fighting for like their life.
I love Paul's remaining schedule. That's maybe one loss. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Paul should have it locked up, I would say.
Yeah.
Because Paul one or two wins should really lock it up for Paul.
Who'd you say had the toughest schedule?
What was that?
Who of the contention playoff teams, who had the toughest one, you think?
Looks like Mark.
I was going to say that too, yeah.
Okay, so 2025 is who?
That's
Luke.
Mark.
That's Luke.
Luke.
2026.
2026 is Mark, okay.
Okay. So Dan doesn't play any of the top teams anymore?
Luke has a tough schedule.
Okay. All right, so looking at this, I can kind of just talk about Paul's chances here because we don't have Dan's schedule. I'll just pull it up, but
Actually, the race to the race.
the race to the race. We'll go back actually to the other side really quick. So if you look at Josh is playing Paco this week. Then he goes and he plays Vinny, who needs a win. So he's got to play 2 good teams, and he only has 2 wins. So those are 2 tough games to win. So if Pickle can get one more win, which, by the way, he gapped or he's at the same points for as Dan, and he needs about 30 more for Josh. So you have to, if you can gap 30 points for and get the same record, then Paul has a real chance of not getting last. And then let's see, what does Dan play? Dan plays me, Austin, and then Josh. Oh my. So, like, Paul controls his own destiny here, and he might not even need to get all the wins. Because the other 2 teams are playing good schedules. See, Pickle plays...
Honestly, look at the last week. I could literally just be watching the Toilet Bowl. I wouldn't be even in the Toilet Bowl if I win the next 2 weeks, because the Toilet Bowl will be the loser of Tokyo versus Monty.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's got to go back-to-back top 2 East. The playoffs?
Literally, I'm hoping the loser will be the loser of the last week. That could be humorous.
That is actually... Yeah, the fact that they play each other last week is crazy.
It's huge for me.
Wow,
Seems like it's destiny.
So the thing is, we won't know. This is going to go to the last week to know who's in last, most likely.
I mean, I have a tough week this week against Johnny, with literally everybody good on my team on bye, but...
Because even if the worst case scenario happens, Josh wins, you lose.
Mm-hmm.
There's still ground to be made up where you can get there, but that'd be the worst. Like that can't happen for you. But
yeah,
I'll take care of Dan this week.
So should we do some theoreticals, like guessing remaining records for these 5 teams and guessing who, because of that, makes the playoffs then?
Yeah, let's go through team by team and try to stay consistent if there's overlaps. Looking at Vinny, what do you think the remaining record will be?
I think 2-1.
2-1?
You think you beat him this week?
I don't know if, like, for sure. Like, me and Vinny are kind of in, like, neck and neck right now, at least in this matchup from my eyes. But, like, I just think, looking at that schedule, I think I see him winning 2 out of the 3.
Well, I kind of need to see if you have players going Monday night.
I'm going to go...
I don't. Me and Vinny, no Monday night players between the two of us.
Ooh.
All right, so Vinny's going to win this week. I also do think that out of the players Thursday night, I think Vinny's going to take out a lead. I just think the Eagles are firing right now. And I think Washington still could do fine, but you can tell Jaden's still got this little rib thing going on. I think he'll be fine, but I think his points, like his running, is going to be lowered. I think he beats Josh. Then I think he loses to the Pickle, and I think it might lose him his playoff spot.
I think he goes 1-2. I think he loses this week to Austin. I think he beats Tokyo. I think he does actually lose to me.
Mm-hmm. So that would make Vinny 7-6. So yeah, I think
7-6.
Vinny's going 7-6.
Well, I think he's only in one of those games, not 2.
Okay. So you think
So
he's
we
going
got
5-7
Mark.
be done?
Yeah.
Then we've got Mark. I would say Mark will lose to Luke, beat Steve, lose. Oh, that's Johnny. No, I would say beats Johnny. So I would say Mark also finishes 2-1.
I think Mark goes 0-3. You look at this, his only chance for a win, I feel like, in this week against the hot team. I don't think he beats Steve, and I don't think he beats Johnny.
It's hard to say now looking at the matchups, like seeing what players are happening, what players aren't buying stuff. Oh man, this is tough. I kind of think he just goes 1-2. I think you're looking at a 6-7 team right here. I don't know where his win comes. I think he might even beat me, and I think he might lose to Luke and Johnny.
I think I for sure see him beating Johnny, and then I just think he gets a win between Luke and Steve. I don't know which one it's going to be, but
I mean, but he has McCaffrey. If he can get a win this week, it really shakes things up.
Yep. All right, and then Johnny is next. Johnny also has a pretty favorable schedule rest of the way there.
He does, but does he have a favorable lineup?
1-2. That's what I'm going to go.
Yeah, I was going to go 1-2. I might even say 0-3. I'll go 1-2.
Think he loses to...
Yeah, I'm going to say it's going to be tragic. I think he's going to go 0-3. I think it's just he's going to have a game that's really close and he won't be able to pull it off. He'll be swearing in chat. He'll try to trade past the trade deadline, mid-game.
He is till midnight on Sunday.
Okay, some trades are going to be happening Sunday. And then we've got Paco, which...
I'm going to go 2-1.
Yeah,
His only loss is to me. We're going to be hopeful.
Yeah.
He's beating Josh.
I would say 2-1.
He's beating Mark, and honestly, he might even beat me, but we're going to be positive.
Yeah, so I think Paco will go at 2 wins, and that'll get him in the playoffs.
Yep. And then Lukey is the last one. So he's got Mark, Johnny, and then Paul.
I think he goes 1-2. I think his only win is this week against Mark. Or not Mark, 2026, Luke.
This is Luke. That's Mark.
Oh, sorry, Mark. His only win is against 2026.
Yeah. I can't remember what I said for the other ones now, so this might be conflicting what I said before, but I see 2-1 in his path.
Where did he get his loss?
Probably Paul.
Okay.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. I think he's going to win the next 2 weeks, lose to Paul. And I think Paul's going to win the next 2 weeks.
And then lose to Luke.
And then lose to Luke.
And then it would be those two.
Unless, so if those two
So
win.
then it would be Vinny and Luke both at 7. This is exactly what I said would be Vinny's worst nightmare. Paul wins the division based off of record. Lukey and Vinny are tied on record, and so Vinny would need to overcome Lukey in the next couple weeks off of points if that were to happen.
And let me just check to see here. So Luke's only got Vinny beat by less than 17 points for.
Okay.
So the thing is, yeah, I mean, that's just going to be super close. It's going to be whoever. I bet you they're just going to line up. They're both going to be 7 and 6. It's whoever gaps the points for.
Yep.
So who would be your playoff teams, Paul?
I think my playoff teams are you, Austin, of course, Paul, and either Luke or Johnny. I think Mark falls short. He has a tough schedule. I'm going to probably go and lock in with Johnny. I think Johnny makes it.
Austin?
Me, you, Paul, and Vinny.
Wow. Okay, yeah. I was on Luke, but looking at this, I kind of just feel like Vinny's going to beat you this week. The thing is, if Vinny loses to you this week, I think it's Luke. But I think he's going to beat you this week, and he's going to barely get over Luke.
The thing is, like, Vinny can lose to me this week, and it's not over. He's got 5 wins, so he could still get 7 wins. And like we just talked about, like we don't expect anyone on this. We don't expect anyone on this graphic here to have 8 wins besides maybe Paul. So 7 wins with the points gets you in, and so Vinny could still lose to me this week and get in off of points potentially.
My thing is, though, if he loses to you this week, unless you just go nuclear, I assume if he loses to you that Luke will extend his points for lead. And if he extends it a bit, then I think it'll just be a gap that won't be covered. It'll just be like, it'll end up being like 10 or 15 points for that Luke covers. But, yeah, I'm gonna pick Vinny. I'm going to pick 3 East, 1 West.
Typical East.
Just being objective here.
I mean, the man is a whole game behind 2 of my guys, so it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, if Johnny gets
in... The lower
in,
guy will get in over the guys who have better records. Total sense.
If Johnny gets in, it'll be the shock of the century to me. I mean, hey.
I don't know how. Literally, the data shows that he's doing good.
We just threw away his... What?
Didn't we all just agree that we expect him to go 1 and 2, if not 0 and 3?
But I did say that I think that what's his name, Luke can also get in there. But I do think he'll win because he will beat Johnny. Not Johnny. He'll beat Mark 2025. Then it will be the 26 game. So it'll be. I think he'll get in because even if he loses a game or 2, he still will be tied with Vinny. And yes, Vinny had the tiebreaker, but a game up right now at this position is pretty big.
I don't know, Paul. I think you're contradicting yourself. Originally, you said Johnny goes 1 and 2, and if he goes 1 and 2, then he's a 7 and 6 team, and he's not winning the points for advantage for everyone.
Yeah.
For Johnny to make it, Johnny needs 8 wins.
I don't know about that. That's saying that Vinny's gonna go 2 and 1. I don't think he goes 2 and 1.
No, I'm not. I'm saying Johnny needs 8 wins because
he can get in with 7.
No, he's like 100 points behind everyone else in points for.
He could still get in because Vinny needs to get the 7 wins to even have a chance. Johnny can still get in with 7.
But it's not just Johnny. I mean, it's not just Vinny. Like, you have Luke.
Mm-hmm.
You got Mark. He would need, like, Mark to be that. He would need one of those lower points for guys like Mark to just start winning and the other guys to fall apart. I mean, I guess
a lot needs to happen for Vinny to get in. A lot doesn't need to happen for Johnny. Johnny just needs to win.
All right.
But we'll see. We'll see. A lot of time.
I mean, dude, they're so tight. There's so many. Yeah. There's actually so many teams that can get in. It's actually wild. Because they're really fighting for 2 playoff spots. All these teams are fighting for 2.
Yeah.
And that is why Vinny is at a disadvantage as well, because all the West teams are fighting for they're fighting for 2 playoff spots. They're fighting for the division title and the wild card, and Vince is only fighting for the wild card.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, went over that, and then now we're just going to get into the games this week, right?
Let's do it.
All right, let me try to pull this thing up.
I have better view than last. I feel
Low points early. What time is it? 8:50. Probably through the first quarter.
Yeah, 7-0 game. Brian Robinson is the only touchdown so far.
Yeah, not great, but can't complain too much.
Okay, A.J. Brown getting some catches here.
Nothing from Devonta Smith, which is good.
Wow, I totally forgot that Saquon is on the Eagles. I was not expecting him to be playing tonight.
You're lying, right?
Uh,
Okay. I don't even know what to do with that. But,
yes, Austin, you have Saquon. That's what you wanted. Guys, he has Saquon. Woo! Okay, moving on.
All right, well, but he's playing against the guy that steals all of his touchdowns, though. So he'll need to not have those touchdowns stolen. But, I mean, it's so early.
Yeah.
There's really nothing. A.J. Brown's getting some targets early, though. I think A.J. Brown is the guy you got to worry about. But it's really who gets the touchdowns on the Eagles. But, so let me kind of look at some of the other matchups here. Cincinnati, New England. What is your honest thoughts of Tyreek, Austin? Do you think he'll actually become like at least a 15-point a game guy? Do you think?
No, I think he's the biggest cancer to my team right now because I can't not start him, but he's just, I don't know.
Why can't you start him? Like, why can't you put him on your bench?
Because if he does have a Tyreek week and he's on my bench, then it will be the end of me.
Or there's no one else to start.
Scroll down. Let's see who we could start there. You can start Jalen Reed.
Yeah, I like.
That's
that's not even true anymore. I'm comfortable starting Calvin Ridley, Jaden Reed, and Amari Cooper.
You know what? I forgot. You're starting Calvin Ridley. I think that's a dumb move. Why?
No, start him. He's gonna be so good this week.
Look at him the last 3 weeks, brother. 25 points, 12 points, 22 points. He's back to pre-suspension Calvin Ridley.
But pre-suspension Calvin Ridley was on the Falcons, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, not gonna lie, it is a little bit more surprising. I didn't expect him to have 25 last week. I didn't know he had that. But I do know about the 12-point week. Concerning thing is that offense is not very good. I don't know.
I mean, and if you want to get down to a little deeper into it, the last 40-yard touchdown was in complete garbage time. But still points.
Yeah.
Still points.
But going into the playoffs, I would not be surprised if we see a deal with Austin because if he's a smart man, he'd try to move and get a little bit more solid receiver because we look at the receivers and who do we have? We're starting. Do we have a top 50 guy starting for you at wide receiver at all?
Yeah. Calvin Ridley is
26,
top,
okay.
and Tyreek is still in the top 30 as well.
30? Okay. Okay, so we have low top 26.
Again, Jaden Reed, I don't like his matchup this week, but Jaden Reed is 11. And yeah, Amari Cooper is pretty far back, but that's mostly because of injury.
I mean, it's the recurring theme that the only thing I can poke holes in is your wide receiver room. Your running backs are fine. I'd be worried about wide receivers in the playoffs, but
I honestly was worried with Austin's team because I thought Amari Cooper would come in and be a maniac. Now he's been injured, obviously, but it's just more time that Josh Allen has had to figure it out without him. So I wonder if he'll actually end up I think he'll have a really good game randomly, but I don't know if he'll consistently have it. So I'm not as scared about Amari as I was when he first got traded.
No, my only legitimate gripe, because the wide receivers I can piss and moan all about it, but you still have good running backs. But I am shocked to see young Kohu still as your kicker.
That's an allegiance.
Do you want Moody? He's a better kicker.
He just had 4 missed field goals in a row.
How many points did young Kohu get last week? I can't see.
6-3-2.
How many points did he get in the last 3 weeks?
He's tanking your team, Austin.
I just want everybody to look at that. 9 points in the last, not 11. Last week, Moody got 9. So,
and it's an ironic bye week because after he gets 2 points again, he might be gone from Austin's team. and never return.
He's built for the playoffs. He'll be on my bench that week. He won't be hitting the waiver wire.
I think the more important thing we should talk about is actually Vinny's team. Because can this team get 3 wins or 2, whatever that needs to take to get to playoffs? Because when I look at it, there is nothing on his bench. Just nothing. Eckler surprisingly has decent points right now, though.
Wow. Without a touchdown. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I would actually counter your point about nothing on his bench. Swift has had a season that is startable in a lot of leagues. Juwan Jennings is a flexible player. And then Tucker Kraft is also, I think still top 10 in tight end. Yeah, number 7.
Pop up Juwan Jennings. I don't think he's startable. He was startable for 2 weeks, but now that...
No, now that Olave's gone, he's back. Yeah, he had 16 points last week.
Okay.
Olave?
No, it was Ayuk.
Ayuk.
But, okay, I didn't think he was getting usage rate anymore. Okay.
Okay, I'll retract my statement a little bit because I actually just didn't see Swift. But Swift, I mean, that Bears team looks abysmal, but I know they just fired their guy. So as long as they get some points, Swift will be fine. But you're not going to feel great right now starting
he almost
Swift
had
or Jennings, and it kind of puts a crack. I don't know. It's just like those aren't guys that are going to get you wins. But maybe Swift can just... I mean, Swift has been scoring good points some of the weeks.
If I didn't have a brain...
But like Tucker Kraft, I mean, tight end, he's got Hawk. It's not really like... It gives you more tight end diversity, but you're never going to take him in a flex spot or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, if I didn't have a brain, he almost would have Chuba on his bench too, and that would make his team a lot better. But I digress.
All right, any more comments here? Should we move to the next match?
Oh, go to Tokyo, who's -1.
No, not Tokyo. How did he have that?
Elliot against the
Kicker.
Okay, so Paul is
love to
feeling
see
great.
Keep losing. I could lose this week and still be a contender.
Okay, so what will Paul do with his tight end spot? Because he seems like he does not want to drop anybody on his bench. Charbonnet. I mean, dude, why does he even have him?
I mean, Charbonnet is so much more valuable than Chase Brown, so he's got to keep the valuable guy on his team.
Yeah, I understand rostering Charbonnet from a handcuff point of view, but I do not agree at all with rostering a handcuff when you don't have the starter. Like, what are the odds that you're going to need a starter when the handcuff has a relevant week as well? It just seems stupid.
I think part of the reason is because I went so hard to trade him, and he just refused to do, by the way, I'm going to say it again, Chase Brown for Charbonnet.
Thank you, Paul. That's the only way I got a win last week.
But, no, yeah, he's got to go. I see Paul's picking up some defenses, so he's maybe preparing a little too early. But this tight end thing is hilarious to me because he's got all these players he won't drop. Who's even on waivers? Do we have anybody on waivers that's even good to pick up?
To be fair, 0 is better than -1 point, so the tight end kicker could be a wash.
Also, Paul, I was trying to get that Vikings defense from him. You're not getting it from him. But I got 2 tight ends. All right, we might be able to do something, but you got to give me that defense.
I think I was looking in the,
I don't like that.
Not great for playoffs.
Chicago.
That one's good.
That's only 1, though. Like, you can't start him before that, Atlanta.
I'd be worried about Seattle. I'd be worried about Green Bay.
Dude, I'm thinking about 14-15. That's on my mind. 14-15. We'll deal with the others later. We just got to get past 14 and 15.
Ugh.
I've got...
You won't need to worry about the other ones because you're losing first round anyways.
Fucker.
I've got defenses for every week the rest of the season already.
So you've got one that's double dipping?
What?
You've got one team double dipping on 2 of the weeks that have good weeks?
I think I have maybe one of the most promising defensive schedules of all time for the next 5 weeks, and then I've got a different team for playoffs.
Okay. Let's take a look at that because you're not going to drop them. You're going to keep them, right? Yeah. So I'd love to take a look at that, but we'll take it in a sec. We'll get through these boys.
Yeah. Anything else on? I guess we didn't even really talk about this.
All right, let's get down here. So, I mean, Josh actually has like some decent players, but like the Jets, Brees Hall, how has he been doing on points?
Not great. I have him in another league, and he's been quite a disappointment the last 4 weeks.
Still RB8.
Last 4 weeks, he's not done great.
He seems like, at least on these last few weeks here, the new Najee Harris.
Mm-hmm.
That is actually the most Najee points of all time. Although, hasn't Najee actually been scoring decent points?
Decent, yeah.
We'll have to check it.
When he gets into the end zone, it's good. But if he doesn't get in the end zone, it's a little scary. We hope that he gets 12. Even that's a struggle. But I don't know. I like Paul's team. It's built for the playoffs. Jonathan Taylor, consistent. James Cook, surprisingly consistent. Only one that, I mean, you could maybe throw darts, Justin Jefferson. Are we concerned about that? Point went down last week with Hawk back? Or are they just an off week?
No, so that is the big, not at all. I totally disagree with that because if you look at Darnold, he threw 3 fucking picks and had like 140 yards. So Darnold the biggest thing would be if Darnold doesn't actually start playing well. I mean, the Hawk thing might have some legitimacy, but I really think it's more just he played terrible. Darnold did. But Cortland Sutton is the one I look at where I'm like,
but he's been fucking stupid lately.
Has he? I remember starting him in another league.
I was proven wrong on Cortland Sutton.
Like,
as well.
what is that? Like, last 3 weeks.
Oh, that's so funny. Because in another league, I started him against New Orleans. He got 0, and I just dropped him and haven't thought about him since.
And he wasn't hurt that week, too. He was on the field for, like...
Oh, I know.
I don't get him, but, I mean, maybe Paul's talking to him nicely.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, Denver has been playing well, and that's actually a shocker. Gosh, Paul just gets these little nifty guys that just go off for him.
The other thing, too, is I don't have the actual, like, stats offhand, but I heard an analysis about Jonathan Taylor with Flacco versus with AR, and it was pretty telling. Like, I think it was like these weeks were with AR versus like these ones were with Flacco. Like just way more efficient every time he's playing with AR. So a little bit worrisome about that as well.
Well, I mean, 2 of those weeks with Flacco, he had good average yards per carry. He just didn't get the touchdowns. Yeah, it's really just that Minnesota week, but Minnesota has a great defense.
And he had a lot less carries that week too. And
I don't know why they're starting Flacco. Just start Richardson. Just figure it out now. Bring him back.
They're going back to Richardson.
Oh, they are. Okay, AR. But all right, sick. Oh my gosh, you missed another.
Jake Elliott, I might send you a Christmas card.
The pickle. Cody, do it. That's great. That's hilarious.
All right. Next up here, Steve, we got you versus Dan.
I did a little switch up last second.
You did. I was gonna ask you if you did it. I mean,
I threw Goddard in there because Pitts is playing Denver, and it didn't feel right about it. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But who am I playing again this week? Oh, Dan.
Yeah. Yeah, it just seems like a clear Steve win.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's got like players, man. Like Flowers, Monra, and then Wilson has still gotten points every week. It's just the running backs.
He's playing Nick Chubb and Taysom Hill.
Is Nick Chubb that bad? Is he not getting any reps? I don't know actually anything about that.
He's just not doing good at all.
Okay, he's getting decent reps.
But look at the yards per carry. 5.2.
I just feel like you can never fully count out Chubb.
I think you can this year. I think you can.
Yeah.
I mean, like especially with his remaining schedule, it's a little tough.
Oh my gosh, it is. Holy shit.
Denver, Pitt. Ugh.
Also, I don't even understand this. Oh, that's
receptions.
Yeah. It's a little rough in
and he's got Josh Allen against the Chiefs. That's probably, and he might have to get a lot of points. Could get a win, but it doesn't really mean much now that Josh is losing. That's probably gonna be the main guy.
Oh, I just saw that. Austin, do you consider starting Cooper because he's against KC?
No. KC has a great defense.
A high scoring game though if Buffalo makes it competitive.
Yeah, I just think the versus Kansas City automatically being like a barn burner is a little bit different this year with how good KC's defense is.
Gotcha.
Agreed, but I feel like Buffalo's the number one team that like plays up and sometimes down to competition.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's here or there.
But yeah, I mean, I got Steve's team winning this game by a mile here.
Yeah.
All right, then we got the battle of the years, 2025 versus 2026.
Very big matchup here, and Terry is tearing it up early. Absolutely on a tear.
You can never count him out because he always has like late touchdowns. I feel like they're long, but
yeah, you can't count him out, but you can count Mark out.
I was gonna say that. Yeah. I mean, look at the matchup. If Nico is back this week, that's what Houston's offense has been needing, is another target. Andrews, maybe I guess, is alive now. Pickens has been good.
Crazy amount of questionable.
I was about to say the only thing more questionable than Mark's starting choices is his actual whole team. Holy shit! I think Christian McCaffrey is probably going to be questionable the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Adams, not the gift that Mark thought he would get.
No, not at all.
In fact, somehow Garrett Wilson keeps getting more.
You might just be a professional decoy for Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
And also, that 22-point week is a total, like, that didn't even really happen because they were out and lost, and right before the end of the game, Aaron Rodgers wanted to get Adams a touchdown. Actually, no, they had the game won. They could have, like, run out the clock. He just threw him a touchdown at the end. So he's really gotten no meaningful points. It's actually bad.
Yeah.
And offense is just bad, which is why Breece Hall has been bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got Lukey winning this one.
I got Lukey win this one too.
I got Lukey winning. It's always funny to look at Luke's team and see Mark Andrews there, guy that drafted, and he starts actually playing pretty well. But Lukey's got receivers the Lukey way. Pickens is back.
Yeah.
Wilson throws to Pickens, and he's an absolute dog. Did you see that catch he had? I think we talked about it. Oh my gosh!
The throw was beautiful too. It just
literally not. Like, he had to switch his whole body, and then it was incredible.
Yeah.
But Nico, will Nico come back to Nico form?
I think so.
I think so. I think I heard that like he could have played in the last week too, and they just decided at the last minute just to keep him out to be safe. So I think he's fully back.
You know what that means? They were scared of the Lions. They were scared.
What, am I going to get him hurt?
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Kirby Joseph's like, you know what?
Gotta protect the kneecaps.
But yeah, I take Luke winning this 100%. Oh, can we see the other defense? Does he still have 3 defenses? He's got the Jets, which just get rid of it. Although,
He just good.
You got Chiefs.
okay, you got rid of one of them, but he's got the Chiefs. It's good defense to have.
Yeah. All right. Last one is Johnny versus Pickle.
So he's got a touchdown.
If Brian Robinson gets 15 or under, I think I can win.
Pickle what? How do you have 109 projection? Is someone not playing?
My Titans defense is not rated very high. Is T. Higgins projected out now? That might be it. But no, I don't get a lot of big projections right now because Najee they don't love this week, and I don't love Najee this week against Baltimore either. And Hunter Henry, I hope he's fine, but he got 2 points last week. They disrespect Cedric Tillman. I don't understand that. Cedric Tillman is the man. He's getting another 18, 19, 20 points this week. I don't know. We'll see.
And honestly, I was like not big on Puka. He's definitely a part of that offense. He definitely gets a lot of target share, and most of the time, like he looks better, more targeted than Cup. Not better, like more targeted. But then he just like punches a player, goes out early, and like some random shit. But this is like what I'm saying about his team, where I just don't believe it. Look at his flex. If that's his neighbors, that's completely different to me. But it's Ramondre.
Well, Neighbors on bye with this week.
He's on bye. Oh, he's on bye this week?
Yeah, so that's why he kind of had to get rid of him.
I mean, kind of, but
I don't think he had that foresight when he traded away Neighbors.
Oh.
Well, even if he did have that foresight, like you get into the playoffs, this just doesn't seem like enough. Like you might be able to win a game. I don't see you winning two.
Yeah, and there's just no one on the bench that it's not even like Ramondre was a choice. It was like that is the guy. This is your starting lineup going forward.
Does it change anything if and when Pacheco comes back?
Is he coming back?
Yeah. He was supposed to come back last week and was supposed to be practicing Monday, but he hasn't yet, and they were pushing him back like a week.
I don't think he just comes back and he gets all the carries. I think he's just going to split with Kareem.
Okay. I mean, I would like to have Kareem in a
Even
couple other leagues. But
even if he does, like I'd still, I don't know. I mean, that's a good running back room, both the B-Robs and Pacheco, but like I feel like I'd still rather have Neighbors.
Okay, this makes a lot more sense. So your projections are so low because your whole team is on bye. Holy shit.
yeah.
All of your points, guys. Your
Yeah.
tight end who's been getting good points. Harrison,
Yep.
Hubbard, Murray.
Yep.
That's rough. If you can get a win this week, that really says more about Johnny's team than yours.
But also, look, my team doesn't look terrible for all of those guys being on bye. I'm a little proud about that.
Why did you put in Audric Estime?
Ooh.
Because I need to see that man cook one more week.
He's been cooking.
He has? I don't think so. He has only had 1 week where he had 14 carries.
He's about ready to be unleashed.
He's back.
Oh,
Or he's here. I mean, he was never back.
don't you disrespect Audric. He and I go way back.
Okay, so yeah, if you could put together a win. So the problem, Paul, with these receivers, Downs, Tillman, Higgins, it's one of those things where I always kind of like feel this way when I look at it. It's like they're never all three hitting.
Oh, they'll all three hit.
No, they're not. They're just not all three
Dude,
hitting. It's the most.
If T.
it would
Higgins
be
is
like,
on the field with a helmet playing, he's an automatic chalk in 14-point guy.
it's like the same odds to me as like someone putting $10 and winning $100,000. Like it's just.
Well, yeah, especially now that we have Anthony Richardson back for the Colts. and
Richardson loves Downs. Downs and Richardson go well.
Jameis Winston in for the Browns. All that means is that they could get points. They could have more than 20 points, but they will come from 60-yard bombs that happen to connect.
Yeah, but dude, Jameis, you know.
And that's how Cedric gets his
He's
points.
playing against the Saints. There's a little more to this game. You know, he's going to be... I want to see him flinging because, my gosh, he went from one of the most, like, dude, Jameis to then, like, Jameis. You know, like 3 touchdowns over 300 yards to 3 picks, 110 yards. It was terrible. But I want against the Saints, there's a little bit more energy there from Mr. Jameis.
He's going to eat the W this week. He's going to eat it.
But I would...
Oh, no. A couple things have to happen, and I just love seeing right now Devontae Smith almost at halftime having 0 points. So
I think Bijan against Denver might be your best bet. That's just an absolute shitfest, like 10-13. But Chase against Chargers, I don't think that's great either. I would actually...
Thing is, doesn't matter. Last week he didn't have that many rush yards. A lot of his points were the wide receiver last week.
Okay.
So
I think if Johnny gets to 20 points and above, 22 points and above, he's in a great spot to win.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Don't disagree.
Tonight.
Because I don't have Murray.
I would actually pick Johnny just because I didn't realize how ravaged your team was by
Yeah,
that.
no, my team is very ravaged right now. But
Well, our last matchup, I think.
Okay. So who do you have winning this game, Paul? I mean, Austin?
I'll take Pickle.
oh wow, I dig it.
I'm rooting for Pickle. I'm kind of rooting for Dan.
I mean, just looking at that for myself, I'm looking at things of like I'm being optimistic. I mean, Stroud's gonna get 25, and that's how I'm gonna win or something. I just don't honestly see it happening this week, but we'll see.
Stroud's playing Dallas. Stroud could have a monster game.
Yeah, that's why I was hoping for him, but just gotta.
Yeah, I don't think he's had a single game this year that's been great. Not a single one. It's actually been kind of crazy. Went from that insane rookie year.
He looked great the first half against the Lions. That's about it.
Yeah,
No games above 20 points.
Yeah.
he's got the 23-point. Actually, that's his best performance right there against Jacksonville, because he had 345, 2 touchdowns. He's just not throwing for many yards.
No.
I had him on my bench for like the first 8 weeks, and he was just pitiful.
But they're playing Dallas. They got Nico back. Could be a huge week.
Yeah,
True.
we'll see.
All right, well, I think we're... Oh, do we want to talk about trading in the divisions? Also, before we get to that, actually, there's something... Just I said that, so I thought about something. Do you guys think the trade deadline should go this far? Or should it be a week earlier? Because I kind of think it should be a week earlier, just because technically what I could have done these last 2 weeks is just look for a team that's in the hunt and just give bench players to get good players, which I think is fine. I think that's like okay. But I think a week further, we're letting just more people that are going to be more confirmed in the playoffs able to do this. Mm-hmm. I think week 10, we cut it off right like last week. So we're into week 11 at the end of week 11, doesn't it? But I don't know how the other teams that are fighting, like, do they need more time to trade? I kind of don't.
I think week 10, like the start of week 10 or whatever, like this Monday would have been a great just cutoff time.
I don't really agree with the trade deadline at all, and so if it is, I prefer it to be as late as possible. Like, I just don't think... I think we're in a league that everyone is trying, no matter if you're trying not to get last place or trying to make the playoffs, and so I just think, like, no one's tanking, so, like, having a trade deadline just, I don't know, just takes...
Well, that's part of the reason I'm saying it, because I'm not saying that the trades are going to be unfair. I'm saying that, like, everybody's fighting, even the people for last. And so a lot of times those bottom end teams that are fighting for last are these teams that don't have good startable players. They would take two good players over a great player because they need to fill those two spots. And I think that's not necessarily great for the league if the top teams can start stacking like good players because everybody's fighting. Mm-hmm. But maybe that's just kind of a... I mean, it's not something I really thought about a lot about. I just kind of like thought of, but like, I don't know. I would want to make sure that, because maybe those other teams that are fighting need those trades, so maybe it's all fair. But
it's also extremely rare for teams to clinch this early. Like, there have not been a lot of 9-1 teams. There haven't even been a lot of 8-2 teams. Like, this is kind of a weird year for you and I to clinch the playoffs super early.
Maybe, I guess that's fair. I don't really know the last time we've had this type of...
Well, usually it's only one team that's really far ahead.
Yeah.
Not like two.
I guess that's true. I mean, maybe it's in a great spot. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. I was just curious on other people's thoughts, but... and then the divisions trading, which I've been very happy because I literally just want change just to mix some stuff up, to have some fun. Like, even if it's just one person, which it really won't change divisions that much, I think it'll add a cool dynamic of the West person in the East being like this. Like, if Mark comes over or whoever, whatever we figure out, and he starts winning, he's gonna be like easy division. I think it'll add a fun dynamic. I'm still in the Austin's camp of I'd rather not have divisions, just play as 10 straight up. But the West does not want that to happen. But so what do you guys think the trade should be? Do you think the Dan for what was been talked about is Dan for Mark, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really care that much. Like I said, I just think divisions don't matter at all. That's why I don't want divisions to take place. So, like, I don't care who gets traded, and I think Mark's bad enough that I'll take him over in the East.
So, Paul, as a representative of the West,
mm-hmm.
who would you like to see? And honestly, we're in a weird spot in the East. I was talking to Paul about this earlier, where the teams that are kind of bad right now, Josh and Dan, have had incredible success in the past.
Historically, if I were to rank things, you'd have to look at it all the way with championships and everything. And if you just go by division, if you take the West, I put Luke as number 1. He's been the best. He had the most championships in our league. Number 2 would normally go to Alex. He's no longer in the league, so you can't put that in association. So you go to the next person at the championship in our division. That would be me. I'm at number 2. Number 3 is Paco. Number 4 is Johnny, just simply because we don't have the data yet. Other than the 1 year where he allegedly got second and then was kicked out of the league. I don't know. We'll put him at 4. And then unequivocally, number 5 is Mark. So if we're going to take the trade as a fair trade. We're giving you Mark. Let's look at what the East rankings I have. Josh, number 1. He had a bad couple of years, but again, he had 3 championships. Dan, same thing, 3 championships. Number 2. Austin, number 3. Steve, number 4. And then Vinny with 0 championships. So if we want to do
a championship.
Okay, well, Vinny and Steve allegedly have a championship that nobody has proof of. But, okay. But if we're going to do that, I would say, why don't we just shake everything up and say, we'll give you 2 players. We'll give you Johnny and Mark, and we'll take your bottom 2. Steve and Vinny. What about that?
I'll go.
So the new West would be Luke, Pickle, Paco, Steve, Vinny. East would be Josh, Dan, Austin, Johnny, and Mark.
I love that.
Wait, actually. Wait, actually, this is terrible. Wait, say it again. Lay it on me.
The new West would be Luke, Pickle, Paco, Steve, and Vinny. The new East would be Josh, Dan, Austin, Johnny, and Mark. So you're just switching the 2 bottom teams.
Okay, so like historically, it's probably somewhat even, but also like if you take recency, he would have in the East Josh, Dan, Mark, and Johnny, and then Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So
you guys aren't giving Dan enough credit. He has 3 fucking championships.
And I love to pick Lions players and ruin his draft. I mean, Dan is just also okay.
You guys just want to ship off a good player into my division, so you guys don't have to think about him anymore. And I'm going to stand up to that and say, all right, if you're going to do that, at least take someone like Luke then, who also has multiple championships.
I mean, championships mean a lot, but if you go back to Dan's past years, even to his last championship, he's had terrible points for. And I think all of
we don't crown champions for 0.4. We crown them
for
winning the championship.
Has meaning.
It does,
has a lot
but it's not very valuable. Championships.
Dan's last championship, much like all of Dan's success, was pure luck.
And you know what? Fantasy had a lot of fucking luck. Because if there wasn't luck,
coming out.
I would not be 1-9 or whatever. There's been so many games this year that I've lost because someone has a historic week against me. Multiple times, I lost because of a point here. Luck is part of fantasy. We got to accept that. Dan's a lucky man.
Okay, so we'll pose this to the chat and see what it says. I guess, can we just do like a poll or something? I don't know. We'll just type it in there.
Yeah.
After we post the pod, and then we'll see what people think.
And I can take a picture of the rankings here. I just want to see some
mix-ups, And I feel like, people you say we want, but I don't think when I'm thinking about switching divisions, I'm thinking about let's mix it up, let's have fun. I'm not thinking about give me the best advantage.
Yeah, no.
But the West, every time it's like we don't want to change. Now Mark bravely came out and said he'd switch. But I don't think you're getting Paco out of there. Luke's not leaving.
So I sent you guys a picture of my ranking so you guys can visualize it a little bit better. But with that, Mark for Dan, that's just not fair. If we're looking at like fairness in divisions, making it equal.
So you're worried about your division getting too strong.
Exactly. We would be taking a guy with 3 fucking championships, no matter how lucky you can say it or not. He still won 3 years. That's not easy to do. For a guy who...
Wait, has Dan won 3 or 2?
I believe he's won 3.
He might... Actually, I think Josh is the only one with 3. I think Dan only has 2.
Okay, still multiple championships.
Dan is definitely... I don't think Dan has 3.
Okay, well, still has 2 championships for Mark, who... Nothing. So...
Wait, where does it say the champion? Why is this? Oh, it's right in the freaking... I'm looking at the 3 now. Yeah.
For some reason, I thought he had 3, but I could be wrong on that. But still...
No, I don't think he does because I think Josh was the first person to do it.
Yeah, Dan just has 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Dan's got 2.
So, yeah, that I still stand on. I think Dan is one of the better players in your guys' league. If Austin, you win this week, not with this week, but this year, you get moved up. Steve, if you win this year, you get moved up to number 3 in my mini faux power rankings.
So,
if Johnny wins this year, I think he automatically gets moved up to number 2 in our division.
It's actually something I'd love to just talk about for a sec. You brought it up.
Yeah.
So in the division rankings, it goes Luke, who has 2, right?
Yes.
Josh, the only one with 3. So then next, because of Alex, right? He was here and he was gone. You can't really have Johnny in there. So there's 2 missing championships. It would go Paul Nickelback.
Yes. Just simply
So
because
if
my
you
ranking
go
doesn't
look
change.
over. So we have 3 Wait, you'd have.
That's
Mark,
irrelevant because
Paco,
you're taking
and
away
Johnny.
a guy who has 2
So
championships.
we'll just say 2. There's 2 people that have not won a championship or a fake championship. Because me and Vinny's are claimed not championships.
I'm just saying, like, if we go back, because wouldn't Luke have another one? Because Luke has 2
No, Luke has 2 because he didn't win in the old.
Okay.
Well,
I thought he did win in the old, I heard, but.
I don't think so. It was me, Vinny, and I don't know.
There's no way to know.
I mean, I always will know about mine because of the tragedy that happened to Mark. Because that was the year I won, I think. But, all right, so the trading, we have a lot to talk about and see if people can actually be on board. We can get this thing moved. I don't think we'll ever not get rid of divisions at the current moment, sadly. But
here's an idea. What if we got rid of divisions and had 6 playoff teams?
Okay.
The first round, single elimination, and then we go into normal playoffs. The top 2 teams get byes.
There's no world where I agree with the majority of the league making the playoffs.
So I will say I agree. The one thing I love, because I'm in actually 2 other leagues where like a shit ton of people get in, and I like that it is hard to get in. I like that we can have this conversation we just had today about like looking at all these teams.
Yeah.
Like to get into the playoffs, it is not easy.
Yeah.
Part of the reasons I've talked about like recent playoff success and got absolutely eviscerated in chat, but then it was brought up by Austin again, one of the people eviscerating me. But I think it has real meaning to get to the playoffs because it just feels so hard in this league.
Yeah.
It doesn't really feel hard to me, but
We have like the same track record recently, at the same time. It's still hard. It's still hard to get.
For Austin, it's not hard to get into the playoffs.
This is the type of energy you've
hard
had,
to win.
By the way,
No.
this energy you've had, not hard, but this is what has made you the villain. You have not just become the villain. You made yourself the villain. Self-villainized.
I'll take it.
No, you're not going to take it. You've crafted it. When we're talking about something random and then you post about your villainy, this is an image that you've crafted from just a ball of clay. So it's been humorous to see.
Also, I've seen a lot of talk about it in chat. Do we just switch chats to something better, or do we just stick with GroupMe? Because everyone's like, GroupMe is the worst. Which
What would be
does
better?
Suck. Does anybody else have it too, where they'll post something and it just won't even show on their screen? You have to refresh it. Yeah, it's just.
The problem is I don't know what's better because if we go to text message group, I'm fine with that. But people who have iPhones have problems with that. I don't want to go to a Snapchat group. That's
There's just got to be something better out there, right? I don't know, but if there's not, I mean, GroupMe's not terrible. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
I just think we're probably the last people in the world that use GroupMe, so like I'll just try to find the guy, like the whatever random developer that's still working on it, and be like, hey, can you fix some stuff? And then they'll just fix it for us.
Oh, just do that.
Yeah.
Then we're good. We're good. But
Tell them to add ads, and we'll pay $1 if it means everything is going to be fixed.
$1. Yeah, that'll get them going.
Well, $1 over all their consumers would get it going.
Wait, we'd have to pay the $1?
Yeah, so there's no ads, or you just suffer with ads.
But all right, well, do we have anything else we want to go over?
No, I don't think so.
All right, boys, big week. Big week for a lot of people here. Fighting for the playoffs. Fighting for last. Looking good. Josh, the kicker. Unbelievable. 2 missed kicks. But all right, well, I think we are good to go.
Yeah.
Everybody, good luck. Do you guys have any parting words to say?
Not really. I just hope I win. And Josh, please lose.
Anyway, tracking for it. All right. Best of luck, everybody. We'll see you next week.